Welcome back. We have an episode today I said I was going to do on the rankings of the position players, like a power ranking. So I decided to do more or less like a top 10 for each position, a few more for the pitchers and such. And I want to start today with first baseman. So we'll start at number 10, and then at the end I'll show you the list. And then we'll go, probably today's episode, maybe first base and second base. And then we'll break them down into sections, and then maybe tomorrow we'll do shortstops and third. And then we'll do the outfield the next day, and so on and so forth. And I'll make each episode about 10 to 15 minutes, a little bit shorter for you guys. So at number 10, I got Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso, I have as 10th best first baseman in baseball. He's up there pretty high. He's having a little bit of a down year compared to years past, but it's a very hard park to hit in. His contact's never been something to write home about. He always strikes out about 30% of the time, but he has a very elite eye, as you see it. Pitches per plate appearance here, 4.2, 4.3, 4.1, almost every single season he's in the fours. That really helps the guys around him, makes opposing pitchers. So it's kind of one of those things that I always think about, like assists in basketball. Like it helps everybody else on your team a little bit more than if you had a low eye guy that only taking like 3.3 pitches a game. And over the course of 162 games, that definitely adds up. So he's a nice guy to kind of have bulk pitches in the middle of the lineup every pitcher's afraid of. And one of the other reasons is he's probably the third or fourth, maybe probably top 10, but you could argue anywhere in the area, maybe fourth to eighth or something, as the best power righty bat in the game. Out of all the first basemen, the only other first baseman righty power bat up here, I think, is Vlad Guerrero. Everybody else is a lefty. You got Christian Pena and a couple other top righty bats in the game, like Fernando Tatis and such like that, but there isn't as many as you would think. A lot of them are lefties, so you have to say that he'd probably be right up there as a 70 power, 65 eye guy. Hits like 42 home runs in Pittsburgh, which is incredibly impressive. A couple years ago in that park, and he's just a guy that's going to produce every year, regardless if he has a few down contact years. He's always going to be a weapon in that lineup. So I have him as number 10. Number 9, I got Matt Olson. Matt Olson is a very similar profile. He's a lefty bat. He's probably got a tad more athleticism. He's a captain. He's also a bit better defender than Alonso. So just a few things that probably puts him a bit over the top there. He has those core stats helping him out quite a bit, but he's also obviously such a good hitter. He's still got a few really good seasons here, as you can see in Oakland. And you can see that jump when he goes to Coors and how crazy that production jump is. Doesn't mean he didn't just get better too in his prime at like 26, 27 years old, but you can definitely see the offense production just goes crazy. He goes from hitting like 30 and 20 home runs to 60. That was kind of a crazy year. I don't know if he had some ratings increase there, but it doesn't look like it. So it just shows sometimes you get those inflated stats there. But if you go by his talent level, he's probably still like a kind of what he's producing now is more to his talent level, like a 240, 235 hitter, 250 hitter that hits a lot of home runs and walks a pretty decent amount and plays really good defensive first base. So that's a guy that's number 9 on the list. After that, I have Anthony Rendon, who at his old age has made the move over to first base, an elite defensive infield for San Francisco. He'd probably be the starting third baseman in about 25 of the 32 teams at least. Somewhere around there, maybe like 23 of the 30 teams, I guess. I said 32, I'm used to football. But yeah, so you got Rendon has an elite defensive profile. If there's an injury to any of those guys in the infield, he can shift over to third, and they can all move around. They have Arenado, who's probably the best defensive third baseman, obviously, so really a big weapon in the infield that can play a different position, which ups his value. He's having a really down year in another one of those big pitchers parks, but if you go by his skill set, he's really athletic and steal some bases. Could probably still be a 4 to 5 WAR third baseman. So I have him ranked at first base. I could even have him ranked at third base because he probably would be, now that I look at my list, probably about 8th or 9th on my third base list. About the same. So we'll just rank him at first base here since it doesn't look like he'll ever move back to third at 36 years old. Probably regressing a little bit in the next year or two, as everyone seems to at that age. So we'll say he's about the number 8 first baseman, but you probably could make an argument he could be somewhere else. Maybe it's hard to rank him maybe with Matt Olson, but he does have a lot higher contact. It's just he's having a little bit of a down year here, but he does hit quite a bit higher ratings and play a lot better defense and have almost as much power as those guys. His power is definitely getting nerfed in San Francisco, that's for sure, but he's a very good all-around player. He's making $38 million still in the last year of his deal. The two teams are both paying about half of that, but expect him to hold on for another year or two. Doesn't look like he's started to lose his defense much at all, so he's a very fantastic player. Another guy who's had some regression here, another guy with kind of a down year, notice a trend here. Just shows the first base are kind of weak. Like, even though these guys are really falling off a little bit, this is not much in ratings, but seems to be in production, these last couple of guys, you still have them really high in this list. So At number 6, we have Freddy Freeman as the 6th best first baseman in baseball. Freddy Freeman has been a freak in all of TLG. Every single season in TLG, he's had 5.8, 4 WAR, 7 WAR, just hitting 160 OPS plus a couple of years, and then down to 150, 130, and then this year he's really gone down a lot, but he hasn't really lost much, just a little bit of contact. Not even really. He's just kind of hovered between 70 and 65, but he looks like he just has down year. He should bounce back as 37-year-old next year, which is crazy to say. He's got a plus contact tool. He hits close to 300 every single season. His BAPIP has just been really unlucky this year. He's fallen about 50 points from last year, 60 points, 70 points from the year before. So huge drop off there, which is some luck involved. Doesn't look like he's lost any speed, so there's not a big reason for that. But yeah, he's a guy who, again, he just is a weapon, whether he's having a down year or not. Just a big bat and mill, that Atlanta lineup that's been like a 90-win team almost every year. Really big talent. So at number... that was number 7. At number 6, we got Anthony Rizzo. Spelled that wrong. Anthony Rizzo is a guy who has yet another guy in the pitcher's park, whose stats are a little bit nerfed here. Another guy who's having really bad luck, low BAPIP the last couple of years in that Mets stadium. But another guy that's just a big weapon in the middle of the lineup, who's a lefty bat with plus contact, plus I, plus avoid K, plus power, some pretty good athleticism for first baseman, solid defender, another captain, high leadership, great base runner, just has everything you need. Would probably, like you said, probably put up about 2.5 WAR every single season at least. Had like an 8 WAR year at the start there. Just a really consistent ball player, one of the better hitters in baseball most years. Jeff McNeil, we have at number 5. Jeff McNeil, it's where you get a big bump here in contact for these top 5 guys. Those guys all kind of have the power. And then as you get higher in this list, you get the guys with both the power and plus contact. So you get the higher BAPIPs here. You get 350 WOBA. He's only striking out 14% of the time. Most first basemen strike out like 25% of the time. So that's the big difference here. You get a guy with a lot higher bat on ball skills. He doesn't have as much juice with the ISO, with the home run and the ice. They're kind of like the plate approach and the power combination, but he's also a 200 ISO hitter with really high contacts. A really, really solid hitter every single season. Really consistent, big time talent. You get another New York Met here. I know Rizzo's playing some DH and Weber's their first baseman, or Weber, but they're both freaks. Would be top 10 first baseman in the league. So he's got another one of those guys that has huge contacts. Gone down a little bit. I think he was 65 and 6'5", 70 there for a bit. But yeah, you got 60 contact, plus power. Only striking out 13% of the time. Like last guy, McNeil, there was 14%. A little bit higher ISO than McNeil, which is why he's a little bit ahead of him here. He has quite a bit more power. And plus, he's a really good defenseman. He could play second base. He could probably get away at like a decent third base for a few games this season, and he can also play a really high-level first base. I'm pretty sure he can play outfield too if you wanted. He'd learn left field there and probably be league average. So he's just a really good all-around baseball player. One of the better hitters in baseball. And then you have Yordan Alvarez, who's very, very good. He is ranked number 3 on this list. Really hard to rank him because when he's healthy, he's definitely 3rd, which I went on. The rec status probably makes it so like in a type of fantasy draft, I probably wouldn't take him 3rd. But when he's healthy, I'd say he's 3rd. So it's hard to kind of rank them based on like guessing their eligibility with health-wise. But he did play 150 games last year. Still on pace for 115 this year, it looks like. 110. So he's a guy that hasn't missed as much as you think. He just changed to rec this year, but dude's a fierce hitter with a crazy contact power combination. 3.8 pitch per plate appearance, only strikes out 18% of the time. Major power, major ISO, 262. Huge to OPS plus numbers every single season. Guy's just super elite when he plays. We'll hope he can stay healthy for the last couple of years of his career here. Number 2 on this list is Gavin Lux. He played a lot of second base this year at Boston. He started about 40 games there. But he's most of the time he's at first base. Moves there late in games, defensive substitution. They move guys around pretty good. But this guy is just one of the best players in baseball. He ranks on my top 30 list, which we'll see at the end of these videos in order, the power rankings. Gavin Lux, number 2 first baseman. Really good defender there. Can get away at defense at 2nd and 3rd. Also plays some left field now. Has some big time contact skills. Huge 300 batting average almost every single season. Let's see here. He's above 300 every single season of TLG, which I can't imagine more than a couple players have done. He's got major power, over 200 home runs in his career, but obviously more of a contact hitter with some really good OPS plus numbers. Like just a beast everywhere he goes. Had 16 stolen base last year and down to 1 this year. 70 stealing. That they don't really need to use him stealing wise in Boston. They got a couple other big time base stealers. But yeah, just what a talent Gavin Lux is. Just a freak player who's had an incredible, consistent career. And then number 1 on this list ahead of Gavin Lux, I have Vladimir Guerrero. Guerrero is really close to Lux. It was really tough to kind of differentiate these two. But Guerrero's insane contact and avoid K, like his strikeout rate is just so low. He's just such an amazing talent. He didn't get the eye in this dynasty that he's gotten in some of the other TLG saves. I know a lot of people get the 65 eye on him because real life his eye's incredible. He only did get to the 50 eye, but he's just so talented. Even though he only got that, is the rest of his profile still insane. The craziest thing about him is he's got 75 stealing, 70 base running. As you see, the UBR is almost 4 this season, ultimate base running stat. He's got a big time arm. He can still play right field. Probably didn't get trained third base, but he could actually play third base probably if you wanted in the TLG with those ratings. He could be a solid 45 third baseman, probably get like 7 WAR. Just a beast all around, 14% strikeout rate. Almost all the top guys you'll notice, that's the difference between the top 5 in this list and the bottom 5 is the bottom 5 all have in the 20s at strikeouts. Top 5 all like only strike out about 14-15% of the time. Bring a ton of consistency to the lineup. Pretty good bat pip every season. Pretty good athlete. Hits really well. He's probably also been over 300 almost every year. I think he had 1 down year. So 309, 324, 323 led the league those 2 years. 305, 315, 310. So he actually has hit above 300 all season. So him and Lux just in a league of their own when it comes to consistency over the 7 years of the TLG and in real life before that. So that's my top 10 first baseman rankings. And then we will give a shout out here to the young buck, Phil Peters. I think is so talented. Obviously, I can't rank him in the top 10 until he's shown at the major league level. But I think he is going to slide in right about number 5 on this list if I was to do it in a year from now once he has a major league season under his belt. The guy has incredible skill set. I can imagine him coming in and probably hitting about 300 with 30 bombs in his first year, being a Rookie of the Year candidate. We'll see what he has in store, but I thought it'd be fun to toss in the top prospect each position while I was doing these. I'm going to take one little pause here. All right, welcome back. Sorry about the pause there. So what we will have here is the second base ratings next. Second base at number 10, we have Vidal Brujan. Vidal Brujan is a really good all-around athlete with a 70 run tool, 70 stealing. He's a 260 hitter this year, a little bit down, but he was closer, a little bit higher, 290 a couple years ago. He has a lower ISO, but just a really good all-around player, solid defender, really great runner, really good base runner, and stealing combination. The 60 plate approach really is huge from a second baseman with kind of a softer bat. Really helps teammates around him, walking quite a bit, getting 3.8 pitch per plate appearance. Also had 121 OPS plus, always around 20 steals. Really good base runners, you can see in the stats there. Just a solid power tool. The high contact kind of plays up that 40 power a bit. Can actually hit double-digit home runs, and should hit a little bit higher, maybe like 275 most years. So just a really decent all-around player, which should give you, like you said, he had 4 WAR a couple seasons ago, 3 WAR, 3.6 WAR, 3.3, and then he hasn't really regressed. Just hasn't had the great years. Montreal's been a little bit down in the standings last year or two compared to before. So he's probably close to a 4 WAR player in most seasons, a switch hitter to boot. And so he's number 10 on that list. Nico, there's not too many great third basemen, so you can see that's why I kind of want to do this power ranking, is kind of figure out exactly where guys stand. It's been a lot of fun. A lot big learning experience for me too. So number 9 is Nico Horner. Nico is a really good contact hitter. He hits 280. Really similar profile to who we just talked about there, Burial. He has a really similar profile, just probably a bit better bat on ball skills, a little bit less eye, about 15 lower eye, but just a really solid runner with 70 stealing there. High work ethic, a really good defender. That's the difference there, is he's quite a bit better defender than the number 10 on this list, where the 60 range, 65 turn double play. He's got a -4 zone range, which is, you just see how high the bar is set at second base defense. Even with that really nice profile, still a negative defender compared to those top zone range guys, but still a really solid defender. That's probably a bit lower what it should be. -4 is kind of a down year, but 60 range, 70 air is really solid. And also on pace for double-digit home runs. So those guys are kind of similar. I just gave Horner the bump for a couple of those reasons I just mentioned. And then number 8, you have the Rookie of the Year candidate, Anthony Volpe, has had a really good season. He's probably ratings-wise not quite as high as those guys below him. You could make an argument he's number 10. Those guys have a little bit better hit tools. It's just maybe he's having a little better season this year. Those guys have historically been a little better. But at the same time, a rookie on pace for 4.5 WAR, I figure maybe kind of like the trending upwards thing, or if he's that good as a rookie, maybe he'll be even better going on. So I kind of thought maybe that'd be fair to put him at number 8, but it doesn't really matter. But yeah, he's another guy who's a really good defender. See, he also has a 60 range, but he's a +6 zone range guy. So you just see the discrepancy where a guy can have the same rating. That's a huge difference of 9 zone range though, from -4 to like +5 or +6 or whatever it is. He's got 70 AR also. He's also a captain, really good runner, really good base stealer, and hitting 290, hit 280, 270 in the minors last couple seasons, on pace for 9 home runs. So really solid all-around profile. Those guys are all kind of tightly grouped up, and then there's a little bit of a tier jump from 7, 8, 9 to where number 6 on 8, 9, 10, and then this number 7 on the list. Seager would probably be a bit higher. He's starting to regress just a tad with his age. He has lost a little bit of eye. His injury rating has gone to wrecked, so I had him a little lower on this list than maybe his true talent indicates. I know I still had number Alvarez up there at number 3 for first baseman, but Seager probably could be in the top 5. But anyways, it's pretty close anyways. There's just some really good third basemen above him. So Seager's got an elite hit tool still hitting 280, hit 315 last year, 320 the year before, still walking about 8-9% of the time. Really good base runner. So when he's healthy, he's really, really top notch. He can still play shortstop and third base. An incredible skill set, being able to play all 4 infield spots at a high level. And Seager, yeah, like I said, he's just getting old. Maybe expecting a little more regression here in the next year or two. It's not that old, though. He's not 35, 36. He's only 32, so should be able to hang on for a couple more years. Still fly ball hitter with plus power, plus bat, 350 on base percentage. So just a really good talent there for me. I got Javier Baez 1 spot above him. Javier Baez could probably, you could argue Javier Baez maybe should be below Seager, but I just had him above because he's just such an elite defender, and he also has that big power tool. And he's a little healthier. He's played a lot of games the last couple seasons. He was over at he's never really been below 110 games. Always been consistent there. As you can see, had a 645 at bats, 28. We're looking way above. So 2020 started TLG, 155 games, and then 130 games in that season when he got traded, and then 150 games, and then he had 120 games there. So you just have a lot of seasons where he stays on the field. That was the difference between him and Seager. But yeah, it's just a really good all-around talent. He can still play shortstop at a super high level too. He's playing a little bit of second base this season too. But yeah, just a really versatile, super talent there. The big bat. Tyler Freeman I have. Where's he? Number 5 on this list. Tyler Freeman. There's a lot of Tylers. Tyler Freeman, number 5, has a really good skill set with a plus bat. Really, really good avoid K. Doesn't strike out much at, as you can see here, 9%, 16% on the season. It's 11. He got traded mid-season. Really solid base stealer, really solid base runner. Amazing mentals, good turn double play, really good defensive stats. Always been a pretty solid plus zone range guy at second base there. He can get away with shortstop, but definitely more of a second baseman. He's also +2 there last season. As you can see, he's always a little bit negative at shortstop. Shortstop's so hard to play, but yeah, guy at second base. He is a ground ball hitter, doesn't get the ball in the air as much, but he's still on pace for 10 home runs, which pretty much most of the guys in this list have been, except for Seager and Baez. So I had Freeman above those guys, just probably a little bit of youth there, getting the bump because he's only 27. Those guys were starting to regress, Baez and Seager at like 32, 33 years old. So Freeman, probably this year, maybe he could be below those guys, but I put him above just because going forward and maybe currently right now, he's just as good already and probably going to be better in the next few years. So you could have a little bit of argument there in the ratings between those guys, but they're all pretty close regardless. And then number 4, we have the young gun here, Figueroa for Baltimore. Oh, where is he here? Did I spell it wrong? Let's see, Alberto. There he is. Okay, so Alberto is an incredible bat. He has big-time power. You'll start to notice the power jump on these top couple guys here. Alberto is already on pace for 14 home runs, and he's still really far away from his power potential. He's just that elite. He's a switch hitter. Should hit 20 bombs in the future when he reaches his potential. Huge runner. Going to be like a 320 plus BABIP guy every single season, I'd imagine. Really good base runner. Really good stealing. He's on pace for 38 stolen base this year. And a bit of a below average defender. He's probably like a minus 5 zone range guy, but he's a fly ball hitter, switch hitter with major power, major contact. Looks like a really similar profile to Gavin Lux if you were to compare the two. Almost the same, both 50 range, both like 55 arm. Both have like a 70 contact with like 60 power. So that's just how good he is. And you just saw me talk about early in the episode how good Gavin Lux been over his career. That's the kind of player Figuereo is. Probably like a top 10 hitter in baseball over the next decade, almost, maybe 5-7 years, depending how long he can survive without injuries. You probably will be number 2 on this list in a couple of years here, with a couple of these guys above him getting older. Guillorme especially, he's getting... sorry, screwed that up. So that's who I have as number 3 on this list, Luis Guillorme. He is number 3 because he has such an amazing approach. He takes 3.9 pitch per plate appearance. He's over 4 last season. He has a 10% walk rate, so just the crazy 65-65 combination. He's a 290 hitter. Been on one of the key cogs on a first-place team the last 2 years. He had 4.8 WAR last year, and he's on pace for 4 this year. This has been awesome. His power was really solid. He hit 15 dingers last year, and this year he's on pace for 14. So he gets you those double-digit dingers, and then he also plays a really good shortstop second base combination. Actually, like 10 games can get you this year. It could probably be the starting shortstop on most of the teams in the league, probably 10 to 15 out of the 30 teams. He would be the starting shortstop with how solid he is overall. He has good base running, so just a really good, consistent contact guy. I had him above Figueroa. I think Alberto will probably move up above him pretty soon here, but as of now, I couldn't put the Alberto's small body of work over Guillorme, with how good Guillorme has been for such a long period of time, and he's still playing at such a high level. So that was a thing that took me a bit to decide between those two, but that's ultimately why I went with Louis there. Willie Adames is number 2 on this list as the second best second baseman in baseball. His profile is all 50s. I'd imagine most of those categories are closer to 55 because, as you can see over the years, it looks closer to 55 ratings with how well he's hit each season. It's not luck. Every single season he's hit for like a 120, 115, 108, 130 OPS plus, 115. So I'd imagine my scout might be a bit low on him. He's probably closer to 55 and everything. His eye is really good. 3.9 pitch per plate appearance, 3.8, 3.8. So it's definitely a 55 eye. You got good base running. Last year he was one of the best base runners in baseball with a 5.3 UBR. He's got really good stealing. He doesn't have to use it much. They don't steal a ton of bases, but he's also skilled there. He's a fan favorite, high leader, high work ethic. The best range second baseman in baseball. It was 75 recently, just dipped to 70, but always really, really plus there. He's won a ton of awards, Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers, 7 zone range this season with only 3 errors there at second base. Played a lot of shortstop this season too, but on pace for 21 home runs, which is monstrous from the second base spot. And yeah, as you can see, the OPS plus is just a really consistent, really dominant second baseman over his career. It's been one of the key reasons Boston's been so good offensively and defensively, and one of the best players on all 3 of those World Series teams they've had. Just a beast. I don't know if he was on that 2021 World Series, actually. I don't think he was. So 2 World Series rings. Yeah, still play. I think he won in 21, so I think he was on 2 of the World Series teams at 23 maybe, and I can't remember. I might only have 1 actually now that I look at it. But anyways, regardless, Willie Adames is a stud. And then you got Hudson Potts, who's number 1 on this list. Hudson Potts gets the nod over Adames just recently. I know Adames had a better career of body of work, but this ranking is more just for this year and going forward in the immediate future, not what they've done 5 years ago, even though sometimes I give a little bit of reasoning for that. I know it's always up for debate, but he's also... You just can't really put anyone above him with the fact that he's going to hit 50 home runs this season and get 8 WAR and he's right up there. I'd say him and Shohei Ohtani for the NL MVP this season. I think those would be my top 2. They're both on pace for about 7-8 WAR. And Potts has just been so elite with the bat. He's got a crazy 400 on base percentage, 3.8 pitch per plate appearances. His ISO is just out of this world. Number 2 in the league behind Ohtani, and his OPS plus 187. 42 home runs, 324 batting average, just outrageous with really solid D. I think he could even be like he's probably a little, just about the same at second base, third base. He's a negative zone range guy at second base, just by a little bit. Second base is really hard to play at a high level, even with 60 range, 65 arm. You get a negative ZR there, but he's also, yeah, he could give you like a crazy third base rating too if they didn't have Arenado. It'll probably shift over there in a couple years when Arenado retires, but we'll see. Hudson Potts is one of the best players in the league and ranks #1. So what I'll do to end this episode here, I'll show you a couple guys that just missed the cut at second base that I really like too. I had a number 11 and 12, Xavier Edwards. Just missed the list. I love his skill set. He's a spark plug, really good runner, one of the best athletes in baseball, 75 speed, 80 stealing. He's on pace to steal 25 bases. He had 39 a couple of seasons ago. A really solid turn double play, good rangy guy at second base, can get away with a 60 shortstop, which is fantastic. Really good plate approach. So he was really close to taking over for Brujan there at number 10. And then I also have Novi Martinez, one of my favorite young prospects in real life for Seattle there. He's a guy that is just a beast overall. Another guy who's a great runner, has a really solid 45 to 50 bat, on pace for 20 home runs this season. Batting average is a tad lower than some of the other guys in this list, but also steals some bases, really good base runner, really good defender, on pace for about 3 WAR. So both those guys were really close to cracking this list at the ratings they were at. So I'll just take a quick screenshot of the 2 positions I went over today. I didn't want to spoil the other positions here, so I won't show you my whole Excel list. I'll save that for the next episode. But as you can see, that's the overall rankings. It's just interesting to compare the 2 positions. You definitely have a lot higher talent level at second base, as these guys from 6 to 10 on second base are a lot better baseball players than the 6 to 10 on the first base guy. Almost as good at bats. But yeah, you just see the top 5s are both pretty loaded, where you get Potts, Adames, Gilmore, Figuereo, and Freeman. And then you get McNeil, Weber, Alvarez, Lux, and Guerrero. Top 4 guys in this list, Lux, Guerrero, Adames, and Potts, are some of the best players in baseball. Absolute freaks. So that's the power ranking for first and second base. I don't think I missed any big names. There's possible I could have missed someone if you throw it in the comments, in case someone's on the injury list or something. But I think I went through every team and checked that. So that's my final list for those 2 positions. So tomorrow's episode, we will do third base and shortstop. I'll probably post that tomorrow. I might make it tonight after work. Cheers, guys.